Hello YouTube. I thought I'd put together a video of some of my Christian paraphernalia. So for some background, I went to an Episcopalian day school from kindergarten through 4th grade, and then I kind of went to quasi homeschool where we basically went through self-teaching workbooks, and some of the students' mothers acted as aides, and then there was the principal if we had some questions that they couldn't handle. And I was there for about a year and a half, and then from the middle of 6th grade through high school I was homeschooled. And I started going to Awana at 3rd grade. That was a group called the PALs, and then I went to the Pioneers, which was 5th and 6th grade, and I went to the JVs, which is 7th through 9th grade. Now, if you're not familiar with what Awana is, I'll put a link in the reference bar. It's kind of like a church Bible study youth group where the goal is to memorize as many Bible verses as possible. So I still have some of my uniforms. So this is from the Pioneers. Look at all the stuff that I earned from 5th and 6th grade. And this is from the JVs. And unfortunately, I can't find my Awana workbooks, but I still have this. This is pretty special because you only get this kind of thing, memory packet, if you've already gone through the workbooks that they've given you ahead of time. So this is like extra credit kind of stuff. And I was also first in these Bible memorization contests that they would have in order to raise money for charity. And the first year that our church went to the Awana Bible quiz, we ended up in 1st place. And then something that happened after 7th grade was the church that I was going to, which was a Calvary Chapel, they came across some doctrinal statement that they needed in order to re-sign their Awana charter, which basically said that they needed to agree that the spiritual gifts had stopped. And they disagreed with that, so they couldn't sign it. And they started their own sort of Awana, which they called HIS, which stands for His in Servanthood. So yes, this actually happened. And I still have my uniform from that. This is the Conqueror's uniform, and that was from 9th through 11th grade. They didn't do 12th grade at the time. And in fact, they've gotten rid of the high school program altogether. And I still have my workbook from that. And I was heavily involved with the high school youth group at the time, and went to very specific Bible studies just for the young men. And we went through this book, Stomping the Darkness. This is probably around 1998 or so. And I still have my camp beanie. I went from winter and summer camp from about 1994 to about 2001. And I still have my beanie from the winter camp of 1998. And I still have my program from the summer camp of 1999. And in 1998, I put this in a leather cover because I didn't want it to get messed up. This was a Bible that I got from the His Club group. This is the New Open Bible, New King James Version, red letter edition. So that was my primary Bible for about 11 years or so. And somewhere along the line, I also picked up a copy of this. This is Gideon's New Testament Psalms and Proverbs in the New King James Version. And some books that I read, Christian novels during high school, were Hiding Place, Corrie ten Boom. That was required reading for, I think it was a Bible class. I had Bible class from 5th through 12th grade. And also Piercing the Darkness and This Present Darkness by Frank Peretti. Pretty angels and demons, fighting in the real world. And, there's an evil liberal conspiracy, which is, of course, fueled by demons. And so I also read through the dispensationalist apocalyptic Left Behind series. So I went through Left Behind is the first book. Tribulation Force is the second book. Nikolai is the third book. For some reason, I remember this being my favorite. I think there was like some really long chase scene that lasts for like 100 pages or so. The fourth book was Soul Harvest. Fifth book was Apollyon. And the sixth book was Assassins. Then we have seventh book is The Indwelling. The eighth book is The Mark. Yes, I read all these. And the ninth book was Desecration. And finally, when I read Desecration, I got to the point where I realized that they weren't doing a very good job of telling the story, specifically time management. I think that they spent about 3 books or so that spanned about 2 months of time, and then they jumped about 2 years at the end of this book. And I was like, even at the time, not being able to judge literature very critically, I thought that these are pretty crappy. And let's see, some books that I read a considerably later time. How You Can Walk in the Spirit, Bill Bright. Also, How You Can Be Sure You Are a Christian. And, also some other books I read later were The Ragamuffin Gospel by Brennan Manning. He's kind of a Christian existential mystic kind of guy. And also A Case for Amillennialism. Or The Art of Spiritualizing Text, which shouldn't be read plainly for the sole reason that it would be false. And then I kind of, left the fundamentalist evangelical Calvary Chapel because I was getting ticked off that, all of these conservative political lobbyists that they were having speak instead of church service. Like Rob Schenck from Faith in Action, and also Tony Perkins from the Family Research Council. The senior pastor of the church is pretty good buddies with Tony Perkins. And, after that, I got on a little bit of an Anglican kick and read a little bit from N.T. Wright, which somewhat influenced these decisions. I picked up a copy of the 1979 Book of Common Prayer, which is used by the Episcopal Church. And I also picked up a copy of the, can't read that, can you? Life with God Bible, which is in the New Revised Standard Version, which is what N.T. Wright seems to like. And, yeah, reading the New Revised Standard Version, makes some things stand out. There's some pretty uncomfortable readings there. So that is kind of the majority of the Christian reading list. And so now the most recent purchases, we get to some actual interesting stuff. So let's see. New Oxford Annotated Bible, The Origins of Biblical Monotheism, and I should be getting a Canaanite Myths and Legends in the mail pretty soon. And The Greatest Show on Earth. I wasn't not really interested in reading The God Delusion. It seems to me that Dawkins is, more of a scientist than a philosopher, so I'm more interested in his studies on evolution than what he has to say about religion. So I think that's the most of the Christian paraphernalia that I've accumulated over the past 20 some odd years. Anyway, if you have questions about it, let me know.